Well, this is a little different, especially for YouTube side, but I've been playing an awful lot of this game recently. I don't usually cover early access stuff, but this game is so robust at the moment that it is incredibly playable as is, and I've been enjoying it so much I've spent over 200 hours on this thing, so I'm looking for a project whilst TCG stuff is a bit slow for other reasons. So with all of that said, hey guys, this is GameCow. Welcome to another not a Pokemon trading card game video, but still card related. This is Touhou Lost Branch of Legend, and it is an awful lot of fun to play. So right now, not everybody that is designated as playable is available yet. We do have our main ladies here. We've got Reimu, we've got Marissa, we've got Sakia. Cherno has been added relatively recently and is still getting tweaked a bit, but has enough playable stuff that she's in the main branch for this as well now. So that's really cool. And then the character we still need to get later on is Koishi. There's potential for other characters to come in here as well, because there's still plenty of combinations on this little color wheel that we have up here to go with. And yeah, if you want to see the prologue, I guess it's over here. This is your quote-unquote story for the game. It's nighttime at Ante, and Moko is mocking Kaguya as always, and Kaguya is like, no, I want to make my stuff the greatest ever, so we're gonna do all the advertising and everything. Everybody gets to take one exhibit of their choice home, huh? That sounds really good. So everybody's over here, and we have the jeweled branch of the Horai is like the best exhibit ever, and yeah, there's some interesting stuff. Like we've got Sadai over here, we've got is that Narubi? She's got like the hat from Suwako, but it doesn't look like Suwako. Suika's over here as well. Cherno obviously having a fun time. Fairies, Notori hanging out with the fairies, interesting. Yeah, that is Narumi for sure. Seija is here as well, and it's like, we got many guests here, woo, it's so great. How has she got a microphone in Gensokyo? That's what I want to know. Anyway, yeah, everybody's here, and it's just like, Amelia is just bored. Dormi's over here, like, with the doll being super fancy, I suppose. Many things you've already seen, huh? Ah, but the spacesuit is a thing. It is very interesting. I wonder if that's something you could get in the game. So yeah, Vermelia still wants to go out into space, and yeah, five jewels being around. Oh no, the jeweled branch of Horai has disappeared. It's like, is this part of the show? I don't know. If you find it, I'll let you choose one of my treasures. Oh boy, well those are this fancy stuff. That's what you really want, right? So everybody's like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do all the stuff. And yeah. Basically, you get called out to do stuff as well. And it's very fun. So you have to go resolve the incident with one of your ladies of choice from the 5 here. Well, technically 4 at the moment, but we'll get there. And each of them is aligned to 2 separate colors. So Reimu has got red and white. This follows Magic the Gathering colors here, so this is actually white, not yellow as far as the game is concerned. I'll probably still call it yellow sometimes, but I've been getting better about that. Marissa is red and what the game calls black. Black cards probably wouldn't look quite so nice as the purple ones here for what Marissa does, so this makes sense. Her potions are purple, so there you go. We have Sakia is white and blue, Cherno is blue and green, and Koishi will be green and black, as you can see here. So right now there's a couple of colors which are a bit less supported, if you will, but you can still get a lot of good cards out of them, and most of them are like unique for the characters anyway. I say the characters are aligned because what that means is you start with the 2 colors of the mana, and you can choose which one you want to be dominant based on what you want your spell and your first exhibit to be. So for Reimu over here, the spell just charges up as you knock out enemies and just gain power and whatnot. The exhibit is something we'll go into in a little bit, but most of the exhibits you'll get from bosses and whatnot do give you an extra mana as well, so this gives you a red one. If you want to start the other side, you will get a white one instead. All exhibits have got an extra benefit to them as well, and you get to add the character cards to the pool as well if you use their exhibit, so there's that. And yeah, they've got a starting deck over here, which is almost always the same. You have your flavor of the weak attack, which works on your dominant effect. You've got block cards, which work on your secondary mana color. You've got the basic attack and basic defense over here. And then you have one unique card. Usually, there are a couple of characters that will have a second card here because they have other factors to them. That's usually the more complicated playstyles, but yeah, you've got a unique common for the character as well. And in this case, it's an attack that takes it basically always takes 2 of your dominant color to use your unique card, and in this case, it's just deal 8 damage 2 times. So yeah, a little bit more powerful than the regular amulet that you see there. This has been cut down recently. If you played this in previous patches, you would probably have noted that there was actually an extra card in this bit. Every character, I think, has been cut down to 10 cards in their starting deck now. I think Blue Sakia was one of the other ones. Yeah, she used to have 3 blocks and 3 attacks and 3 blocks as her like basic thing, but it's been cut down to make sure that 10 cards is what every character starts with now. So that's probably going to change later on as well, we will see. But for now, 10 cards makes sense because you draw 5 at the start of every turn, and that means you initially, with no deck upgrades or anything, you can draw out your entire deck in 2 turns. So I think 10's where it's going to stick, to be honest. As far as what the actual cards are, or like the types of cards, we have, as I said, your basic attack, basic defense. These can do all sorts of different things though, like the Yin Yang Orb over here does attack, but also gives you barrier as well. This is one that you generally have to generate rather than actually getting it normally, but it has some fun stuff with it as well. There's a graze mechanic in the game which just lets you outright dodge attacks, but if you've got accurate on your attack, then that will get bypassed. You've got block and barrier as a thing. So block, as it says here, just gives you damage reduction, but it will disappear at the end of the turn. Whereas barrier, if we have that one, it just reduces, it reduces the damage you would take. If you were going to take 10 damage and you had 10 barrier, your barrier would disappear instead. But barrier doesn't disappear in between turns, so it is very useful for stacking if you can get hold of it. Then we have skill cards. Skill cards themselves can do just about everything except like outright attacking the enemy, I think. There's a few that like give you cards to attack, like generate a Yin Yang Orb or something. But yeah, this one, you just draw a card, you gain some firepower, do extra damage for the turn, and yeah, it's nice and fun. So that's one of the main ones you'll see as well. And then the other one that is for every character is the ability, which, yeah, these ones can be kind of tricky. They're effectively passives. Once you use the card, it disappears from the fight. You can only use the card once, but if you have multiple copies of it, you can stack the ability. It's just, yeah, each one only one time, and then you never draw it again because it goes away from the battle. They could do some really funky stuff. This one just gives you barrier when you lose a buff, but you can do all sorts of things like generate extra orbs, gain firepower, get extra cards even. It's just like, to go through everything that you could do would take absolutely forever. Keep in mind this is in early access. There are cards which don't have artwork or have unfinished artwork. As you see, there are some like this one where you can actually change what the style of the card is, because there have been multiple artists which the cards have kept in game. So that is really cool. And yeah, there's one other card type to go over, which is the teammate card, which is something which has been introduced when Cherno got reworked. This initially wasn't how the stuff was set for her, but they changed it to do a whole bunch of awesome stuff here. Effectively, this, we'll see it as I play the game, but it gives you a card that stays in your hand in between turns and gives you like little bonuses. You can spend it to give bigger bonuses, or if you manage to stack up enough of its affinity from the first bit here in between turns, you can do massive bonuses as well, and then that removes the card from play too. So yeah, it's complicated. I'm not going to go into it too much at the moment because it's not likely to come up until we get to Cherno, but yeah, just know that this is around and it is going to get added as we go. You may notice some of these cards are not from the color of the character that we are playing here. Like, why does Reimu have green cards? She can't normally play green cards, right? It's because at the end of each stage, you can take an exhibit which gives you mana from different colors than you would normally have. And that means then that you can generate stronger cards for the most part. Most of the cards you will find that are off color are more powerful than the regular stuff. Like Spread Amulet over here is incredibly good because you do a lot of damage over every enemy and you gain a ton of defense as well. It's expensive. It takes 1 blue mana and 3 of any color in order to pay for it, so that is an awful lot to pay, but the benefit is humongous. So these are often the cards that you want to try and find, and if you take the exhibit from a character at the start, and at the end of Act 1, then say if you take Marissa's black or with Reimu, you'll find the black cards for Reimu in the pool at that point, which is great. Cards do have a rarity as well, but that's just for how often you find them, and there's like 1 or 2 events which matter for card rarity and stuff. Most of the cards you'll find for a character are uncommon, so that's really what you're looking for. There are, of course, also neutral cards that you can find with every character. This is something we're going to find as we go as well. Yeah, lots of fun like references and stuff with it here. Most of these are for like characters that you can't play as, so that's a lot of fun. And yeah, we could spend forever just going through them, but that is not really what we are here for. There are other cards to look at as well. Tool cards are things that you can buy from Takane, and they are like one-time use for, well, not always one-time, but like they are limited use, so they don't stick around permanently, but they do have really good effects for the most part. We have status cards that tend to be given by enemies that are mostly like debuff type cards. The only cards that I don't have in my collection right now are actually status cards, specifically from Aya, and we'll get to that maybe at some point. But yeah, there's some stuff like, yeah, you lose the game if this happens, something, but you know, extreme circumstances. And then there's misfortunes, which you get from events for the most part, and these are just straight dead negative cards. They're usually pretty bad to have around, but there are a couple of exhibits and cards which synergize with these as well. Speaking on the exhibits, if you play easy mode, you will get one of the treasures from Kaguya to play as well, or if you choose this from the Jade box, you could also do the thing. And these give some absolutely crazy benefits, to be honest, but they are also the easy mode thing to get you into the game, so that's fine. We then have shining exhibits, which are all the ones you get from bosses for the most part, although these are not something. This is why we think Alice is going to be a playable character, because we actually have these in here too, which is something we don't know about yet. So yeah, I think that's something to look forward to. But yeah, you've got one specific to every character. We could go over them, but I will when I actually play the characters. And otherwise, you get one of these at the end of every boss fight for the 3 stages that there are. And you get extra mana, so you get more card playing potential for the rest of the stages. Unless you take Yomu's one, when you don't get mana, but you do apply a status effect to the opponent. So this can be pretty good to take into the final fight, but we'll get there later. Otherwise, you've got a bunch of different exhibits with all sorts of effects for, like, you know, gaining a mana once you've spent a bunch on one card, take less damage from a thing, gain money every time you move a stage, etc, etc. There's all sorts of different effects that we will find as we go along. There are different rarities for the exhibits as well. You will find some more often than not, and some of them are specific to the shop itself. I actually don't know what this one is yet. Looks like a substitute. I mean, it's a Cherno doll, right? But, well, maybe not Cherno. It could be Reimu. Looks like a substitute doll anyway. So there's something here which I have just never seen, but there's some pretty cool effects that you can only get from the shop as well. So that's neat. And then there's some event ones. I haven't seen this one either. I don't know exactly what this is yet, but yeah, these ones are ones that you can only get from events in the game, and those are also kind of good. So yeah. That's one basic overview for this stuff. There's a few like extra things that you can see as well. It's very smart the way that the system works here. Like, we have 5 main colors plus a colorless thing here, and you've got bonus effects for, like, you know, some of the exhibits, like when you spend 5 red mana you do damage. This works if you also use rainbow mana, so like some card synergies can be really nice with that. The actual card pool itself, you can only find cards that you can pay for, and rainbow mana does not count for that in terms of like getting off-color cards. You need to have the base color as well. So that's really clever that you always at minimum can pay for every card that you can find. And then yeah, teammates is a new one that gets added to here. This is something again we'll talk about later on. Boss reward stuff, like I've said, you can get exhibit stuff. They're specific to characters, but yeah, we'll get into that as we go as well. And then there's a few different types of damage in the game as well, like attack damage, direct damage, which, you know, take X damage off a thing, and lose life is completely different from doing attack damage. Some things will synergize with being able to do attack damage, and some will not. So yeah, that's the main thing for like an overview for this. I know we're not really talking about the gameplay stuff of it yet, but honestly, to talk about the gameplay here means we've got to more or less do a full run, and I intend to do a run with every character style that we have at the moment. So 2 runs for each character, one with their, you know, the red style here, one with the white style for Reimu, and so on and so forth. Some characters are easier than others to do this stuff with, and often have like a game plan that you would like to get, but of course it's RNG as to what cards you find, who you're going to fight. Each run is completely different, so even though a lot of the encounters are going to end up being the same, the way you approach them is entirely different. And as we go, we should be able to show all of them off. So hopefully that is a good enough overview of what we have here to go through. If that's made you interested, then yeah, keep an eye out. We'll be doing these runs over the next probably 2-3 weeks. We'll see how long it takes. And until next time, take care.